Hi and welcome to this video for you who grew up with a narcissistic mother. And in this video we're going to talk about why you feel guilty about everything. And that is a very common experience for a lot of us. I know that I felt this way a lot earlier. I don't anymore, fortunately, because I do remember what it was like to feel this way. It's exhausting. It's very stressful. You feel so bad and like you don't know how to correct it and where the boundaries go, and you feel really shitty about yourself, basically. So I'm going to talk about difference between healthy and toxic guilt. I'm going to talk about how a child becomes this way, how they become responsible for their narcissistic mothers and later other people's feelings. And then we're going to talk about guilt as a survival strategy, and then what it's like to experience all this guilt, and how do you actually begin to step out of all of this toxic guilt and more into a healthy self-trust and healthy kind of guilt to have that when it's warranted. So my name is Åse Wegerif and I'm a survivor myself, so I know this personally. Fortunately not anymore, which is such a relief. I'm so glad it's not me anymore, and I want that for you too. And I'm also a registered counselor, and I've been helping people one-on-one for many years with things like this, with having a narcissistic mother and all the facets of this. And now I work on here also on YouTube, and are trying to help you as well. And I also do that through my programs, and through one-on-one work is also available. So let's get to the first point. What is healthy guilt and what is toxic guilt? So healthy guilt is when you have a healthy setting of your guilt is set to a healthy setting. So it means that usually it's a fairly clear signal that when you feel guilty, it's a signal and a feeling of guilt inside because something outside of you is threatening your relationships to others and so on. It's something to do with guilt is trying to make us fit in and not do bad things to other people, so that we actually experience being part of groups with other people and getting our needs met and so on. So if you go against yourself, your values, if you do something that you shouldn't have done, you're gonna feel guilty, and that gives you a chance to feel it, realize it, repair it, learn from it and put it behind you and move on. And then you're free of it until the next time, and hopefully then that is a long time. You've learned, you don't have to repeat the problem. So toxic guilt, however, is when your setting for guilt is where it was conditioned by your narcissistic mother to be, because she blamed you if you were a scapegoat, for instance, like you have taken blame and the shame and all the badness upon yourself. So this is all about you bearing anything that goes wrong or is bad in a relationship. And that is like chronic. That's like a ton of bricks to carry. That is a lot of stress. That's a lot of lying awake at night, ruminating and feeling awful and not knowing how on earth you're going to get out of this. And it's completely horrible and exhausting, and it takes your energy and it takes your focus away from yourself. So this was her weapon to control you. This is how you were compliant. This is how you felt responsible for trying to read what she wanted and so on, she wanted you to be. But there was no respect for you in it. So it doesn't really respect you in the way of that you have needs as well. It doesn't respect you in terms of your needs, your boundaries. It's just toxic guilt. It's just like all-consuming, and it makes you cross all the boundaries and needs, and wiping yourself completely out for the other person. And the problem is that this is an automatic program, and you're on it, you know that it's not good for you, you want to get out of it, yet you can't. So you're trapped. So, and then it also attracts other narcissists to you, because they can sniff out and see very quickly that you are like this, so you get more of it. So this is also one of the mechanisms whereby you may attract, without wanting to, more narcissists to you. So that's why it's really, really important to change this way of being with yourself and others. So let's get to the next point. How do children become this responsible for the narcissistic mother, and then she represents others? So that's what you learn in relationship with her, becomes a way of being around other people and in the world. So first of all, she needs, if you're the scapegoat particularly, then she uses you to dump her all the badness that she feels, all the feelings that she doesn't tolerate in herself, because she has a need to cling on to the story that she is wonderful and perfect and raised above everyone else and so on. So whenever there comes something that is not in that picture, then, and it's negative, she's going to dump it on you. And then you're embedded in a complete family system of this, a family trance where everyone complies with her. So you get it not just from her, but you get it from other people as well, over time, consistently informing you that you are bad, you are, so they're brainwashing you and gaslighting you and feeding you with this all the time. So it breaks you down, and it makes you not trust yourself, and it makes you open to taking in, just out of survival needs, to taking in that story about yourself, that you are responsible and that you are bad. So the shame and the identity and the shame and the guilt are really close here, as you can see. So sometimes I can remember actually feeling that, there were moments when I felt I couldn't handle it anymore, and I felt so despairing, and there was so much unfairness and so on. So there were moments when I rejected my mother. There were moments when I opposed her and tried to get her to take accountability and to actually stand up for my needs and assert myself and tell that this wasn't being fair and so on. But then when you have a narcissistic mother, you get a mother who doesn't meet you on that like a normal relationship would. A normal relationship is that there's a dialogue, there are two people, both needs matter, and we try to, both parties try to take accountabilities, both speaking in truth and so on, and repairing things from both sides. But that doesn't happen with a narcissistic mother, because she flips into playing the victim, making herself a victim to you being, I remember that, like she became a victim, she made me out to be really difficult. I couldn't get any resolution on this. There was no one there to actually support my valid feelings of unfairness and to be a normal parent who actually corrects this that is going on. So the wounding just carried on, and she just played the victim. And after all I've done for you, you know, something that a narcissistic parent may say to make you feel guilty, and that's what you feel on the other side, really, really guilty. Or she may give you a cold shoulder or ignore you, or she may become really the narcissistic rage may just be so much that you get really scared and you just don't, you give up and you resign on trying to get. So there are so many ways that she can control you. I also want to say that her heart is cold. And as a child, you really need your mother to look after you. You really need her care and protection and so on. And when her heart is cold and you sense it on some level, then you will do anything to feel safe and so on. So if you feeling guilty is a way of finding some safety, less consequence, even if it's we're just talking about just managing to be part of a family, even if like emotionally you really are not, you're shunned in the family. So these are all like the really, really tough undercurrents and psychological games that are going on in a narcissistic family, definitely affecting the setting that you have with your own guilt. So she also plays on a very deep mechanism in all children, in all families, which is the need to be loyal to the parent and the need to be loyal to the family. And as children, we always try to, even if it means sacrificing ourselves, we always try to mend our parents, to mend our families, and to try to make them work. So if she plays on that, she can, for instance, pull away from things that are her responsibility and to make you the parent, you the responsible one, you the one who has to take care of your siblings, or you who has to look after yourself in all kind of situations when you're just a small child. We're talking, perhaps you're 4 years old and this is what you're experiencing, and none of it is being explained to you. None of this is being, you have no way of understanding any of this. You're in it, which is awful. And that's where the pain underneath the guilt that you're still running on so many years later is coming from. So let's also touch upon how guilt may also have been a survival strategy that worked for you. When you are in a situation with a narcissistic mother who has a hold on the entire family and you're really suffering emotionally, then you are completely helpless in it. You cannot divorce your parents. You cannot get people to believe anyone as a child over your mother. There's no way you can actually convince other people to see what she's like and to interfere and things like this. That is just almost impossible to do. So you truly are really helpless in it. And guilt can then be a way to, if you feel guilt, that means that you make yourself responsible. That means that you create an illusion that you aren't helpless, but that there is actually something that you can do. So you can, by you starting to feel guilty, that means that you've got agency. That means that you can come out of the truth that you're actually helpless. So there's also the mechanism of internalizing the aggressor, which many children do when they struggle in families, that they take the burdens upon themselves and then they feel like they are guilty, and then they can act from that place because it's unbearable to be in the actual reality of being completely helpless in this situation. So, but also like guilt, when you felt really guilty, the decisions you make from that point of view make you do things that your narcissistic mother perhaps wants you to do, so that you get less of a negative consequence, and maybe there are some positive things in the moment coming out of it. But it really teaches you deeply that feeling guilty about everything all the time is a way to survive. So you can see that that sets a pattern that you need to really do some work on to release from yourself, because because of how it works for you in the everyday later on. It doesn't work very well. So, and that's usually what happens with survival strategies, is that they work when you grow up in your family, and then they become a real pain and a prison, and something that blocks you from living your potential when you're an adult. And it keeps you in dysfunctional ways of being relationally and so on. So it makes you, so you feel guilty. You feel guilty just for having a need. You feel guilty just for taking a break. You feel guilty not for saying yes immediately the next second you're asked for something, even if it's at your cost. You feel guilty for, you know, even if you know someone is a taker taking from you, you still feel guilty if you would try to not go with what they want from you and so on. So you're completely offsetting and so on. You feel guilty for succeeding. You feel guilty for disappointing someone. It's just, it's all over the place. And it's a very strong feeling linked to your survival system. So that's why it really operates like really unconsciously and really powerfully in your life. So the last point I want to make then is like, how do you begin then to come out of this toxic guilt and have a more healthy kind of guilt, and so on. So the thing is, your guilt at the moment then, when you have grown up with a narcissistic mother, is not, it's her weapon, it's her conditioning, it's your survival conditioning and wiring deep inside of you. It's not actually reality of like how it's not a moral compass that works for you. So you can't really trust when you feel guilty, you do need to actually know that it's not necessarily realistic. So how do you then deal with all of this guilt? How do you come out of toxic guilt and more into a healthy kind of guilt, which is more of a signal from a moral compass that you can actually use for something good that doesn't bother you the whole time? So this is part, I think, of a bigger process of arming yourself with knowledge about what narcissistic mothering actually leads to in your life as an adult. It means prioritizing, looking at your own self and nurturing that relationship with yourself. That means that you make a decision and you start to prioritize that. It means if you want to do something about unconscious programming, and it's kind of like an enemy that you have, you need to study it, you need to observe it, you need to perhaps journal and pay attention every day. When did I feel guilty? What happened? Who was involved? What did I do to what did my guilt actually make me do, and how do I feel about it? And so you need to track a little bit and get to know what your exact guilt looks like, when it's triggered, with whom, what kind of situations, and what your patterns are here. And then once you know that, then you can maybe step into your more adult logical self. Not that guilty one, but stepping into a different part of yourself, and just think about it like, if this had been a good friend that you care about who said this to you, what would you truly say to them? If this wasn't you, what would you really say is reasonable here? That might be difficult because you have been blinded to a lot of this. You have been grown up in a system where you weren't allowed to have this. So this is something that may most easily grow. You most easily grow into a different relationship with yourself here, and like having a different view of this if you are part of relationships where you can get input on this, where you can get someone else's input that you trust, vent it with someone, and then help them help you actually get some input on how you could adjust and like take some small steps into caring more for yourself than reacting on this guilt. So because it's more complex, it looks different for everyone. But that is the thing, is like, if you do have someone in your life whom you trust, perhaps someone who's gone this route before you, so they understand it and then they come out of it, that would be ideal. Otherwise, someone who doesn't struggle with this, someone that you can trust, talking to them and getting suggestions, or just asking yourself, how would you prefer to be? Looking at someone who is not this guilty, what do they do in these situations? So even just the awareness of this, even just like getting to really know your guilt, can already start to shift things inside of you in a better direction. Even looking at this video can start to shift you in a better direction. However, if you would really like to get ahead on this, then I would suggest stepping, and if you would like to, then you can step even closer to me and my world, or someone else that you really find that you resonate with. If you resonate with me, you can send me an email. My email is in the description of this video, and you can work with me over 3 sessions, and we can really clarify this topic for you. Both analyze what your guilt looks like, where you can start to make shifts, and you can get input from me directly, so that can make a really big difference in your life. And if you can do that, you can just join my email community, because then you can also you are informed about how you can work with me and so on. And also I do have a program coming up now in after the summer, where there's a group of people, mostly women, but men are also welcome, and where we exactly work on these things together, these processes where we are at, and guilt is definitely one of the pieces that's really important. So that can really be of help to you as well. So either then go to my join my email community, or send me an email that you're interested, or click on the waitlist link for that program in the autumn if you're interested in that. So I hope that you've found this video helpful, and if you have, please consider subscribing so that you get more of my videos, that they come up for you. And I hope to see you again, and have a beautiful day. And do not carry this burden of an injury of having a narcissistic mother upon yourself anymore. Please relieve it from yourself. Step by step, you can do it. I've done it, you can do it. Lots of people have done it, so can you. Okay. All my love to you. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.